and welcome to our Q&A. I was looking to see if I have any questions. I'm looking in the wrong Facebook group. I haven't seen anything, so I thought I would continue with my trend on stress, adrenals, and thyroid, since that's what I'm focusing on in my classes right now. And autoimmune disease. So autoimmune diseases normally do have some sort of stress factor in there. And then that affects the adrenals, that affects your blood sugar, and then your other organs as well. So what happens when we're under stress? So our bodies are made to respond to physical stress. You know, we're made to run, fight, or flight. And so when we are under stress, work-related stress, family stress, traffic stress, any of those things. Well, traffic stress could actually be a fight or flight, I guess, in some situations. But our body isn't really created for that long-term stress. And so I know for me, I was up too late the last couple of nights because of my daughter's extracurricular activities. And so I've just been up too late. I haven't been getting sleep, and that adds stress to the body. And if I continue with that stress is going to continue to increase my blood sugar, is going to increase my sugar cravings. And so I'm going to be eating higher carb foods or wanting to eat higher carb foods. It's hard to fight that, right? Because my body's saying we need more sugar so that we can run, fight, or flight. And what happens is then we don't want to lose fat. We may need the energy. And so it starts breaking down muscle. And so a lot of times when people have been under stress for long periods of time, even if they're working out in the gym, they notice they're not gaining any muscle. And it's because they're not allowing their body to rest and relax and recover. We're not supposed to be go, 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 go all the time. As I said in the class we had last week on the liver, I'm a stress monkey. You know, I am an adrenal. I like that drive. I like that feeling of, ooh, I have all this stuff to do. And that's just it's not healthy. It's not right for me and my body. And so that was one thing I wanted to talk about. So what all happens? So what is supposed to happen is we see a danger or we perceive a danger. Maybe we hear it or we see it. And then our hypothalamus triggers our body to react, right? Different hormones are sent out. Our blood sugar goes up. Our adrenals are activated. And if it continues, then we start to release cortisol. And so what that does is it slows down the digestive system. It slows down the immune system because we don't need to stop and go to the bathroom. And it slows down the immune system because we need to stop trying to fight whatever infection, bacteria, whatever is going on in the body, because we need to be responding to this other danger. Our heart rate speeds up because we need more blood pumping. We need to be able to run and do whatever we need to do. Inflammation goes up because we need to be able to fight whatever's coming our way. The thyroid stops the T4 to T3 conversion, which can decrease receptor sensitivity, which can actually lead to thyroid receptor resistance. And so that is the key thing that's related to autoimmune thyroid condition. We have all these cytokines, we have all this inflammation, and now we are not able to get the thyroid hormone into the cells. And then the pituitary is putting things out. The hormones are going towards cortisol, our nutrients are going towards cortisol so we can fight or flight, instead of to the sex hormones. So then we aren't creating testosterone. Another reason why we can't increase muscle. We aren't creating estrogen and progesterone and all of that, because now is not the time to reproduce. So we have to rest and relax and tell our body, hey, I'm safe, and relax so that we can repair and so that we can send nutrients to these other pathways. We can help with cell receptors, and we can help our immune system do what it's supposed to do in the places it's supposed to be doing at the time, so that we're not slowing down digestion. A lot of times what happens when we're under a lot of stress, then we start to create constipation because everything's been slowed down. It's not time to go to the bathroom. We need to fight or flight. And so then we get backed up in our system. And so we need to rest to recover all of that. So what are some things that you can look at to see if your adrenals or your thyroid are out of balance? Well, we can look at body temperature. If you have thyroid issues or adrenal issues, usually your body temperature is actually lower than normal. There are different things you can do as far as like the thyroid needs iodine. Every cell in your body needs thyroid hormone, and the thyroid hormone needs iodine. But too much iodine can cause problems too. So you have to have the right balance. And so there are different things you can check to find out if you have the iodine imbalance. I don't want to go too deep in here because it's better to seek medical guidance for that. Remember, medical disclaimer, all the information I'm sharing with you is for educational purposes only. I'm not telling anyone to do these things. I'm educating you so you can go further and do your own research and own due diligence with all of this. You can do mineral testing, blood sugar, check your blood sugar. You just buy a cheap, I meant to bring mine over here while I was talking today, but a glucose meter, they're not very expensive. It's the strips that are expensive actually. But you can get one of those. Ask your doctor for an A1C. Most doctors will not check it unless your fasting glucose is at a certain level, but that's not always the best indicator. The best indicator is a fasting glucose and an A1C. So see if your doctor can do that. And if your hemoglobin A1C is in a certain range, then they can prescribe a continuous glucose monitor, which sounds crazy. You attach it to the back of your arm. Some will let you put it on other parts of your body, but it tells you what your blood sugar does throughout the day. Now, when I wore one, it was eye-opening. I could be eating all of the right foods and mine would start spiking because of stress. So that showed me right away that my thoughts even were making my blood sugar go up. And so if your A1C is at a certain level, you can get a prescription for that and save you a lot of money. They're kind of pricey to get one on your own without a prescription. In other countries, you can get them without a prescription. They don't cost as much and you don't have to go through a doctor, but here you have to pay a lot of money, or you have to see if your doctor will check your A1C, and if it's at the right level, then you can get it. But you can just go to your CVS or Walgreens or Walmart and get a glucose meter. It's really easy to test and see what your blood sugar is doing. The only problem is you don't know exactly when to check if you're in a situation like me, where mine stays stable unless I start getting under too much stress. Blood pressure, your blood pressure may be lower if you have adrenal or thyroid imbalance. It may be higher if you have thyroid or adrenal imbalance. And then making sure you're getting plenty of vitamin C. The adrenals burn more vitamin C per size than any other organ in your body. And so if you're under a lot of stress, then you're most likely depleted of vitamin C. Vitamin C is water soluble. We need to replace it continuously, which is why we want to eat fresh, raw fruits and vegetables throughout the day. Now you can supplement, of course, but our body doesn't see supplements the way it does fruits and vegetables. And there are other cofactors in those fruits and vegetables that we don't realize help with our health as well. And so always get it from fresh fruits and vegetables when you can. So how do you know if it's thyroid or adrenals? If your body temperature is always low, that's more likely to be hypothyroid. If it's sometimes low and sometimes not low, then that's probably adrenals. If your energy is generally sluggish, that's probably thyroid. But if you're wired but exhausted, that's probably adrenals. If you have trouble losing fat, that's usually a low thyroid. If you have trouble gaining muscle, that's usually the adrenals. If your blood pressure is normal to high, then that's usually thyroid. Mine is low, which would be more like adrenals. And so even though I have a diagnosis that says I have hypothyroid, autoimmune, I really am probably more hypoadrenal because of my blood pressure. Total cholesterol is usually higher in hypothyroid and lower in hypoadrenals. Face color is red. So now y'all can tell when I'm in a flare because my face gets red. For adrenals, it's pale. Sweating, if you have don't sweat at all. I know I went years without sweating at all. That's usually hypothyroid. If you are sweating all the time, that's usually adrenals. We need to rest and relax. And if your bowels are sluggish, you're constipated, that's more thyroid. If they're irritable or hyper functioning, that's usually adrenals. But it depends on where you are in the adrenals too. You know, there are different stages. So it could be one way, then it could be the other. And adrenals are closely tied to hyperthyroid, which is what I was originally diagnosed with. So there are different types of thyroid. There is hypothyroid, where we don't have enough thyroid hormone. There's hyperthyroid, where you have too much thyroid hormone. And then there's autoimmune diseases. There's Graves', which is hyper, and there's Hashimoto's, which is hypo. And then there's also other problems related to the thyroid. It could be a binding protein problem. It could be a conversion problem. It could be thyroid receptor resistance, which is what I was talking about earlier. When you're under too much stress and you're not converting the T4 to T3, that's a conversion problem. But over time, the cell receptors, they lose their sensitivity, which can lead to a receptor resistance problem. And then there's always thyroid cancer as well, which could also be a thyroid condition. When you have your thyroid tested, doctors test your TSH, and usually that's all they test. Well, you can have a normal TSH and your other markers are off. And so I always recommend people ask their doctors to give them a full thyroid panel. For me, actually, my TSH has almost always been normal. It was just a fluke back in 2007. I'm guessing that I went in like this and was really hyper, and the doctor was like, there's something, I need to test more, because I just went in for a regular physical, but for some reason, the doctor ran a full thyroid panel, which I had never even heard of back then at the time. And it was really unusual for someone to do that. But that is what showed an autoimmune thyroid condition, where if I had just had a regular TSH, I never would have received the diagnosis. So I always tell people to please check, because your TSH could be normal and you could be hypothyroid. You could have conversion problems. You could have antibodies, any of those things. You could be hyper or hypo. I was hyper. And then what else did I want to say about, I see some people on, if you have any questions about the adrenals, the thyroid, autoimmune, that's what I am talking about today. I have about 5 more minutes. Some other things that you can look at if you're concerned that you have an adrenal condition. Your blood pressure drops when you stand up. Have you ever just stood up really quickly and gotten dizzy? The pupils don't stay constricted with bright light. A lot of times, one of the tests, and it sounds woo-woo to me, but you're in a dark room, you can use a flashlight and see if your pupils will stay constricted when you shine a flashlight or something. And if they just immediately start to widen or there's a way you can do it. I don't know how to describe it on here. Rib margin tenderness. If you touch the bottom ribs down here, if it's really sore, that can be a sign of adrenals. Dark brown under the eyes and down here, that can be a sign of adrenals. I'll usually link that with the kidneys as well, which the adrenals are on top of the kidneys. Canker sores. If you frequently get canker sores in the mouth, if you have red flaky cuticles, that can be related to the adrenals. And then there's some signs, some things we can look at on the tongue, ridges on the tongue, deep cracks in the tongue. Those are other things that we can look at if you're concerned about adrenals. Let me think. I don't see any questions popping up. I just wish I had known all of this a long time ago, because then I would have known. I always knew there was a stress component in there. I remember I had a doctor I went to one time who told me I just needed to avoid any stress. That's hilarious. How do you avoid stress? That's what life is, right? We don't learn, we don't grow without some kind of stress, but I obviously did need to work on some stress management. So what are some things to balance out? Number one is blood sugar. If your blood sugar is not in balance, if you have spikes, your blood glucose doesn't go down, there's no way your other hormones are going to get on track. And so number one, you have to have your blood sugar in balance to get your other hormones in balance. Focusing on nutrients. I mentioned iodine, vitamin C, amino acids. There's lots of selenium. Your thyroid needs selenium. There are just so many different vitamins and minerals. It's just very important to eat a nutrient dense, high fruit and vegetable diet, fiber to keep the bowels moving, different nutrients to support motility, get the digestive tract moving, work on stress management, taking time out throughout the day, pausing before a meal. Don't eat a meal while you're doing something else. I am guilty of that. I study while I'm eating. I work while I'm eating. My family dinner, I usually am relaxed while I'm eating, but that's something that I need to work on too. Saying a prayer, calming down and relaxing before a meal, letting your body know, hey, I'm safe, will definitely help with your digestion and absorption. I'm looking at your environment and avoiding toxins. A lot of times the thyroid is related to heavy metal toxicity. And so we want to make sure that you're not surrounded by any chemicals in there. If there's something that you can avoid it. Checking out your skincare, read the ingredients on your skincare. Use the Think Dirty app to scan your products and see, are these ingredients safe for me, or is there a better alternative? It will show you that on the Think Dirty app. I love that app. I'm not an affiliate for them. I just really like to use that. We've been able to find good deodorant, shaving cream, shampoos, all of those things using the Think Dirty app. And of course, for skincare, I love Anne-Marie because you could actually eat that. It's working on digestive health, taking bitters or chewing on some bitter greens before you eat to help release some enzymes to help increase your hydrochloric acid to help break down protein. So a lot of times it's not that we're not taking in the amino acids. We don't have enough hydrochloric acid to break down those bonds to release the amino acids so that we can absorb them. And so that is very important too. So making sure you have adequate hydrochloric acid. So a lot of people think that they have too much, they're burping, they're getting heartburn, and a lot of times it's actually from too little. And so making sure that you have the adequate amount of hydrochloric acid, getting plenty of sleep. I've been missing my sleep the last few nights. So making sure that you're getting plenty of sleep, staying in bed at least 7 hours, and working on that quality. How do you do that? Turning the lights down after dinner, keeping your tech away, blue light, the computers, your phone, all those things, those lights are not helping your body to create melatonin. To create melatonin, you need to be in a dark environment. So a couple hours before bed, make sure all the lights are turned down, and make sure there aren't any lights in your bedroom. Drinking some evening teas. And there's some great ones that you can buy. I love Traditional Medicinals is probably one of my favorite herbal tea companies that has blends. I trust all of their ingredients. I used to always buy Yogi tea, but now I realize they do have some other ingredients that I do avoid sometimes. But I do like Traditional Medicinals. I like to use a passion flower tea, Tulsi tea, valerian. Now, valerian is usually helpful for most people as far as sleep goes, but for some people it does the opposite. So try that on a night where you don't have to maybe you have a day to rest the next day. For me, I love valerian. I sleep really good when I use valerian. It doesn't smell really good, and so I usually will combine it with something like lemon balm, or Tulsi, or even lavender, something just to give it a little better flavor. And then balancing your other hormones as well. So focusing on stress, making sure that you eating in a calm state, taking breaks throughout the day, just telling your body that you are safe. Those are some great ways to help your body to heal and optimize your digestion, help balance your blood sugar, help to repair and recharge your adrenals, help with your brain health, and help protect your thyroid. Some other things, your water, looking at your water, make sure you're drinking pure water. Reverse osmosis filters are great. I have a countertop distiller. It wasn't very expensive. I ordered on Amazon. So I do like to use that for most of my things. I do have a really good house filter, and then I have a filter for the kitchen for my cooking food. Those are not distilled, but for most of my drinking water, I do use distilled. Growing your own food when you can, or making sure you know you're a farmer, buying organic, looking at the dirty dozen so that you avoid those. Don't buy those foods unless they're organic. Including sea vegetables, lots and lots of iodine and other minerals in sea vegetables. Seaweed snacks, nori sheets, making your own sushi or a wrap with nori, or buying the dulse flakes from Maine Coast Foods. Last time I ordered those, I even got sea salt that has, I don't know if it was nori or dulse in the sea salt. And so you don't taste it, but it's in there to help boost the minerals of the sea salt. I thought that was fantastic. What smart thinking on them. Minimize pesticides, synthetic coloring and flavoring, and toxins to help protect the thyroid. Eating a more alkaline rich diet that's high in fruits and vegetables, not as much meat. Trying to think, there's grains are a little more acidic, meats are more acidic. So focusing on higher fruits and vegetables. And then regular exercise. Our bodies are made to move. If you have an autoimmune condition, no gluten. Gluten is out. Dairy is out. Green leafy vegetables are in. And the sea vegetables, garlic and onions, those are fabulous and nourishing, low glycemic foods and omega-rich foods. I didn't even mention those. Walnuts, chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds. Cold water fish, if you can get some that is wild. Cold water, deep fish, deep ocean fish. I prefer to use hemp seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, and even algae. I can put some spirulina in a smoothie. Probiotics. I prefer to get those from foods too, like making my own kimchi or sauerkraut. I even make my own yogurt. But those will be much higher in probiotics than the store-bought. And then eliminating stressors, caffeine, alcohol, that's a big one. Sugar, you're not going to have balanced blood sugar if you're eating added sugars. Anyway, I am out of time. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, please post in the Facebook group. If you have a different topic you want me to talk about next week, let me know. I'd love to hear from you, and I want to make sure that my conversations are helpful for you. So with that, I think that I will sign off. Have a fabulous week. And thank you for the Rainbow Challenge. I forgot to mention, y'all did so great. I loved it.